Gulf South Productions, Daniel Lozada and the team, festivals, raves, birthday parties, weddings.
Loxicom.
Because you want a smart house, don't you?
Home automation.
Golden Gulf Insurance Services.
Home.
Home insurance.
Auto. Commercial. Bonds.
Life insurance.
I got the yellow ribbon. So, it's okay.
How many times did you sit back just relaxing? Understand movements coming in, yeah, we got the packs in. I don't really wanna see no more traffic. Last pack just came in, let's get it out quick.
I had a hard
Wanna be okay, wanna be alright.
Where's that number of
Wanna see the world.
We're rolling.
Yes.
Should be rolling.
I'm trying to find a fireplace for us on the TV.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, because it'd be cozy.
We'll make
like
it
it.
cozy.
Yeah.
It'd be cozy.
Sometimes
but
it gets a little warm.
From the TV.
I sit closer than you guys.
yeah, that's true. You probably get burned up on that right arm over there. Oh,
Hey,
yeah, look.
Pull it,
watch
Mike,
out.
a little more to you.
You want a little
Yeah.
closer?
I don't know. I still haven't heard it. It sounds good.
Yeah, I think so.
Hey,
Hey, check two. Hey.
Mike, check.
Keep this in, guys. We're here with Graham Ray. Graham Ray is a
Hello.
musician, songwriter, award-winning, correct?
Well, not award-winning songwriter, but I've
Throw me your stats right
we've
now.
Yeah, if you were
Yeah.
a baseball
We've-
card and we flipped it over.
So, but I've won a few local awards. I've got 4 coveys that I've won with Ty Taylor though, which you
Who's
guys
that
might-
guy?
I've heard of him.
Who's that guy? I never heard of him. Ty and I are buddies, man. We've been playing together for like 15 years, a duo,
Okay.
and we won 4 Covey awards.
So how does
pretty
Ty? So how does Ty text you? Like, how do y'all be like, Matt, a text matter like, we're gonna hit this at 7:15 or whatever. And then he responds back to me. Do you and Ty have a group chat? Is there any memes in there?
Oh, there's all kind of stuff in there. I don't know if I want to tell everything.
No, but like,
No.
let's
No,
say,
but it's usually like,
Is it graphic?
screw you.
Are y'all? Yeah.
What
y'all
time are you
vulgar?
going? F you. Like,
do y'all split
do we, what? It's like,
gigs?
oh, yeah.
So if
Money
y'all do,
wise?
like, duos,
Money
like,
wise?
do
Yeah.
duos split, or
Down
do
the
you have
middle.
that one duo? It's like I get 75% because
No,
they
man,
like my TikTok.
No, we
Okay.
do it down the middle. It's down the middle. That's how we've always been. But he's the longest running musician that I've ever played with.
If you had
like
a band,
we're like
would
brothers.
That would it.
I'm sure you guys probably
Yeah.
understand how that
Yeah.
works, but
How
we're like brothers,
When I was saying about duo, I'm saying strictly duos because there's a lot of people that start out in the industry that are duos,
Right.
whether they go on and do their own thing. And you see,
Well, we both do solo stuff, but we've always had some certain gigs that we've been doing every Wednesday night at Glory Bound, which used to be Leo's Wood Fire Pizza,
Yeah.
for like 14 years now. We've had the every Wednesday gig there. So
Every
we've built up
Wednesday. You haven't
our
missed any of
crowd
them?
is, oh yeah, we miss. I mean, now we're like, hey man, I can't make it this week. Let's get a sub, but they just let us sub it out.
That's
They
cool.
trust us who we're going to put in there. They don't have to worry about booking the
Y'all are
musicians.
the
We take
Wednesday.
care of the Wednesday
do you like
nights.
Euros?
I do, but I get pizzas still, man.
Yeah,
I
The
like
pizzas
pizza,
are
man.
still great. Yeah, from the Wood Fire Pizza
they do have
thing
good
they had.
pizzas. They have good Euros too.
I love the pepper jack gyro.
I haven't had that.
That
one.
one's really good. And then I get they changed the names of them after it wasn't Leo's anymore, and rightfully so. But
Yeah.
I get the funky meters, and it's like the meat
Okay.
pizza, the funky
Yeah.
meters.
So it's like 15 different toppings.
It's all meat. Yeah,
All meat.
it's all the
Meat
meats,
lovers.
like a meat lovers.
Yeah.
The funky meters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I had a I'm with you on the meat stuff, but like when it's still the oven fire, right?
Oh yeah, it's brick. They got the brick fire oven or whatever in there, and so man, it's just
Pizza,
It's great.
pepperoni, thin.
you like it.
I went
thin.
to the Goat Sports Pub. Was it Saturday?
How is it?
Dude, it's amazing.
That place has
Where-
been like 3 or 4 different things.
Where's that?
It's
House Road?
at the very end of Pass Road by like old Quiznos.
Okay.
That sports pub?
Oh, yeah.
Used to always have like all the sports pub.
Okay.
Used to be Aztecas or some kind of Mexican restaurant.
I've never eaten over there.
It's good.
So the Mikey from the or was it?
So Mikey was Tailgaters.
Yeah.
Then,
yeah.
And then Mikey was also Bonefish.
The one that was
the bartender, and he worked at Bonefish
Grill?
Too. Yeah.
Was that in the mall?
Yeah.
Wait.
I think it was.
Yeah. The mall. So Mikey went on, and I mean, he still goes to Tailgate. He's always wanted to open a bar. He always wanted to open a sports pub. It's not a bad little spot, but his food is fire.
Well, that makes a difference.
Yeah.
I mean,
big time.
You got to have good food, or people. That'll be the first thing to turn people off. I think. Keep them coming back.
Pizza right now.
Yeah, I know you're making me hungry now.
So you brought your guitar here. What'd you bring? What kind of guitar you got?
Man, I actually, for the first time, spent like some pretty serious money on a guitar.
Some cheese?
Yeah.
Is that a Taylor?
It's a Taylor 814.
I really want to take
CE.
that one day. Yeah,
I've got a couple of Taylors.
Really?
Well, I've got 3, but
that's the bready.
The one I had.
That's Biddy. That's Pride and Joy right there. Or?
This is my workhorse right now, man. Even though it's a nice guitar, I spent about $4,600 for that. I mean, that was
worth it.
I think in 2019.
I mean, you're
playing value too,
you're
right?
playing
but
what?
It's
5, 6, 7, 8 nights a week.
Oh man,
or 8 times a week.
I'm doing like
I
8
see your
to 10
posts.
gigs a week. But
I was wondering if we were gonna get time for you here, but I'm glad you showed up.
Yeah, man. I'm glad to be here.
But that's worth it if you're playing that much.
It is. It's a tax write-off too, man.
Yeah, there you go. Treat yourself.
That's what I tell my
Brand
wife.
Music LLC.
It's Chasing Scarlet Productions LLC.
What's the meaning behind that?
I had a band called Chasing Scarlet for a while. I've been in a few bands through the years.
What was the coolest band name that you've had?
Oh gosh,
Chasing Harlot sound pretty dope.
Chasing Scarlet was a great band.
Scarlet,
but
okay.
We had a band called Hip Boot Joe.
Okay.
Red Creek Off-Road or
what's
something?
the meaning behind
Hip
that?
Boot Joe. All right, so we were a bunch of Louisiana boys. So I'm from Louisiana. I'm from Baton Rouge originally.
Baton Rouge.
I've been
Did I
here.
say it right?
Baton Rouge, yeah, man, yeah, Cardon, boy.
Okay. You understood that, right?
So yeah, that was my Cajun coon ass accent coming out. Now I sound like a redneck because I've been in Mississippi hanging around with Ty Taylor for 18 years.
Gotcha.
Were you, let's say in the Baton Rouge, so one of my favorite bands, I used to always go watching was Benji Davis Project.
Yeah.
So around your area, had it been?
I knew a lot of those guys playing out at LSU and stuff like that. So, but Hip Boot Joe was a bunch of guys that we had a band with for like 10 years, man. We had some original albums, but we did cover stuff too. I mean, obviously, when you work in this industry, it's tough to just get out and do just the original
on
thing.
your stuff.
If you want to make a living doing it.
I mean, that's a full-time gig, writing the song, developing it, playing it.
Yeah, producing it, recording, man. And then there's so much that you write and record that are demos that never even make it to a record. And it's like every once in a while you'll take a trip down memory lane and you're like listening to these old songs. You're like, God dang, man, that was a great freaking song. Why didn't we cut it? We were stupid because we would overthink
Do you ever do that
things.
now?
And
Do you ever do that now? Go back and use any of that stuff?
man, I don't. And you know what? I'm horrible. I've played on hundreds of records for other people. I've even got a little studio in my house right now. And I do overdubs for people. So I'm a multi-instrumentalist. So I grew up playing fiddle and mandolin, harmonica, viola, acoustic guitar. And I get paid to play on people's records. I cut tracks for people. And so I've got a small setup. Nowadays you can have an iMac and a nice condenser mic and, a good little preamp, and I can cut from people anywhere. I cut stuff for guys in California and Nashville.
Do they let you, do your own thing?
Yeah.
So they'll send you a song and you hear it and you play
on
it? Okay.
Yeah, man. I'll listen to it once and kind of get my levels set up while I'm listening to it. And then I do 3 full passes of whatever instrument they want. And that's how I charge a fee,
I love that.
And really, I charge $100. So I did like $50 for years, and then people are like, man, you're way underselling yourself, and so I went up to like 75 up until this year. I finally went up to $100 a song
Inflation,
for a song.
man. Inflation.
So yeah, but
It seems like it's still of a deal though.
But I'll like they want fiddle. There's some guys in California that'll send me stuff, and they're like, yeah, we want that kind of Louisiana flavor, South Mississippi, So I grew up as a Southern.
So people
Southern boy
ask for
playing
South
fiddle.
Mississippi flavor.
They just they know I'm from Louisiana.
We made it, guys.
And they
Folk
want
music.
They want a little bit of that Cajun
I like
feel of it, And I grew up playing. Now I did start out classically when I
What
was
is it
young.
called now, though? Is it called Americana now? What is it really? Like,
So
how do you label that type of music now?
it just depends, man. So I had an original, but my one original band that I guess we'll talk about too, it was the Mulligan Brothers, like a mulligan in golf.
Yeah.
And everybody thought it was like a Irish band, or Irish music.
Looks
but
that way.
But it wasn't at all. We were Americana folk rock, I guess, is what you would call
On
it.
Spotify.
It's singer-songwriter stuff. Yeah, man. It's on all the platforms, I believe. But
I've never heard of that Americana.
Americana music, yeah.
Well, I'm bringing it up because like I have iTunes.
Yeah.
So when you find a song, so like let me say like if I go to like an alternative song, it's like pop music now. It's really a weird area. It's like a gray area. Like you can't go in there and
The
like
genres. The genres
are all mixed up now. So it's like
Right.
yes,
Everything's melded together, I think, through the years, man. I mean, you got
It's 23.
Yeah.
Man.
country music is freaking rap and hip hop, and I think they call it bro country or
it's just hard to
Hick
kind
hop.
of discover.
hip hop. Yeah,
Probably that. But
heard
it's-
that too. Yeah,
It's hard to discover though, like when you go in there and you type in like alternative, a lot of pop in there. If you go to electronic, there's a Drake album. So there goes me even looking at like Daft Punk or any kind of
right.
like Disclosure, any music I want to listen to. So I was just seeing that and I was just scrolling and I seen Americana and I clicked on it. And then they have another door for a singer-songwriter. So it's singer-songwriter is a
But see,
label, and then Americana is a label.
I don't know how to separate that though, because I would
Me
feel
either.
like singer songwriter
Is Americana.
is what Americana
We should
was
start
when we were playing.
We should start
at
a
the
label
time,
now.
right?
Americana
If you
now.
got a cool cowboy hat, all right,
A belt buckle.
blue jean jacket.
Yeah. Oh, you got to have the
If
jeans.
you have the
jacket.
blue jean jacket,
And
if you
boots where you can cross them like this and
Right.
cover,
Right.
cover. Or at least
if you play a violin,
right,
you got to go under it.
That's
you gotta
it,
be
man.
American.
How many songwriters and singers do you see that played the violin? I know I've been to a lot of concerts, and I think Charlie Daniels was the only one.
Man, they're out there. When I was touring
Bo
with the
Cephas
Mulligan,
did it at
Oh, yeah.
Orange Beach not too long ago. He played.
there's still fiddle players, mainly a lot in country music. I think there's a lot of Nashville cats that are playing fiddle and mandolins and stuff like that, which I play all that stuff. But
Now, let's mark you real quick for people like for me that don't understand music that well. All right, we're playing Mortal Kombat. There's levels. Where would
Okay.
you level yours? Let's say from 1 to 5. Where would Graham level himself with the ability to play different instruments? And then I'm in a serious note, like I hear people say like I could play piano, and then like Matt plays guitar. He could play a little piano.
right.
But-
So there's a lot of instruments that I could fool you guys on that I still won't say that I play that instrument. Like I could play songs on a piano and chords and a little bit and sing, but I don't.
But
I
to
would-
a
I
complete
wouldn't
novice,
I wouldn't
you know a lot.
record with it.
I feel that
like-
way about guitar.
I wouldn't say I'm a piano player. I wouldn't play it live. I screw around with. I bought an old 1920s upright piano. I found it on, I don't know, years ago on Craigslist or something like that. And this guy was like $50, and you just need a trailer, and you need like 4
How is
guys.
that? Does that hold tune?
Man, it needs some tuning. It needs some work, but it's in tune with itself. But it's not in like it's not in like 440.
Right. So,
But
it's
if you're
hard to tune.
Americana, kind of it's okay. You
It's
can play it.
raunchy, man. I
We need
like
some
it.
vinyl
Part of
sounds.
it.
We need some vinyl sounds.
Yeah, man.
Maybe a bird, a
Um,
rooster.
Right.
I like it. I do enjoy singer-songwriter music. I really do.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Have you checked out the Mulligan Brothers at all?
A
What
little
we
bit.
did? So
Yeah, I did. I was listening.
that was probably my favorite as far as. That's when we really weren't doing much cover stuff. We started out doing that.
What
but once
year
we
is
had a
this?
couple.
2013,
Okay, so-
14, huh?
We started that band it started coming together in 2011 when I was finishing Chasing Scarlet. So 2011 moving into 2012 was we 2012 we took over just Mulligan Brothers. But we ended up building that up after our first record, man. We got into selling merchandise. We were based out of Mobile because I moved from Louisiana to Mississippi. I've been here on the coast of Mississippi for about 18 years, but so I'm a transplant. I'm a Mississippi boy now. I even have like more of a redneck accent than a coon ass accent.
Okay.
From Louisiana.
But you were here for Katrina, so you're here.
I've
You're
right.
from here. That's
right.
all that matters.
So, but man, we really got into the original side of it, and we were able to tour all over the United States. I mean, West Coast. Our second album that we cut, we actually went to Portland, Oregon for like 5 weeks. And we cut a record out there with Steve Berlin of Los Lobos. He produced the record. He's a Grammy Award-winning producer. And, Los Lobos.
Yeah, that's what I'm supposed to say.
Yeah, so,
okay,
I mean, that's
okay,
them.
yeah,
So
okay.
Steve Berlin produced our second record with the
I was going
Mulligan
to ask you to
Brothers
sing it to me.
because he heard our first record, which we cut in Daphne, Alabama. The other guys were all based out of Mobile. The other three guys, we were a 4-piece band. We had a guy played upright bass made of 2 suitcases. It was a suitcase bass. And that was built by the singer and the main songwriter, which was Ross Newell. And Ross is kind of a finger picker, singer-songwriter guy. Amazing songwriter, man.
How do you make a suitcase bass? Let's talk to that.
Man, so this thing...
Fabricator?
He's great. Yeah, Ross he's brilliant, man. He's just such a smart dude. He's great, amazing songwriter. But anything he did, man, from building stuff to
Next level.
Yeah, man. Like he could fix anything, work on anything. He was great with computers. He was great with engines. I mean, like woodworking, you name it. He could build stuff too.
We all have a couple of them friends.
Yeah, he's like,
do.
there wasn't anything he couldn't do, but then he just had this amazing voice and a killer songwriter, man, and he wasn't hard to want to get behind. You believed in him, you know, like I wanted to play fiddle and mandolin for this guy, and it made me better as a musician, you know what I mean?
How'd y'all actually like meet though?
Man, just okay, so being a musician here on the coast, I mean, you spread out and get gigs. So, you know, I started doing a few things in Mobile, some of the restaurants on the causeway out there, like the Bluegill and stuff like that. And I think we just ended up crossing paths. You know, you meet other musicians, and we're kind of like musicians are like a family, man. You meet guys, we're all out there trying to get the same hustle and same struggles. We're all on different levels musically and in musicianship. And I think that's something that I always try to take to heart and understand, because there's a lot of guys that have a lot of egos and they're like, oh, this guy sucks or whatever. I'm like, man, you don't know when he started playing. Like, he might only be 2 years in and he's out there at least trying to do it. So
yeah, I got mad respect for it. Like anybody who can get out there and do it live.
Yeah.
Because that's always been a fear of mine. I mean, I used to play live in the church, but that was years and years ago. That's where I got my start.
I grew up playing in church.
I mean,
man.
that's how most musicians I know got into it.
A lot of us start out.
What was your first instrument?
So violin was my first instrument. That is my main instrument. So I've been playing.
Were you forced into it?
No, man.
My mom tried to force me.
No, man. My old man, my dad, he was an amazing musician and a multi-instrumentalist. He was a songwriter, and he's, of course, you know, he grew up in the 60s, and so he was a hippie musician, you know. He played in all these.
Did he have a ponytail?
Man, no. They had the long hair, but they had long hair. They all had beards like you know. It was awesome, you know. Yeah. But I even had when I was with the Mulligan Brothers, I had long hair and I had a beard.
I seen. I went through. Like I said,
we're gonna have to drop some pictures in the show.
In fact, I got a picture on my phone. I'll send you.
And he also had the swoop hair, like the long hair, but it went to a swoop.
Oh yeah,
do that?
It was
like I have Joe Dom and remember when who was it? It was
I don't know. I remember the swoop
Taylor,
like the Taylor who One of the swoops.
It's
that
very
kinda went over the
wavy,
Ole
man.
Miss
My
swoop,
my hair gets wavy.
but mine's at an
when I-
all-time length right now.
Yeah.
I got it ponied up.
You look like you're like a pro bono attorney.
Pro bono?
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are screwed if you hire me. I promise you that. Don't-
So you were what y'all have it like even that time. I just got into the videos. So the videos, I mean, they have a unique style, sound.
Yeah.
The way they dress, they're. I mean, it's like your Mulford Brothers, your Kings of Leon. They had a
Yeah,
They're
all
all-
the Mumford and Sons. Yeah, man, we met all those guys up in Oklahoma.
I went to the Mumford and Sons concert at Zephyr Field in New Orleans.
Was it the Gentlemen of the Road tour?
I think it was. It was probably like I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago.
Cool thing we did. We were in Guthrie, Oklahoma, and the Gentlemen of the Road tour was there. So it was like it was Mumford and Sons. It was the Alabama Shakes. Oh gosh, who else? There's a bunch of people, man. I mean, it was a tour, and we were there just doing a little show at this little restaurant in downtown Guthrie, and they wanted us to. They were going to close down the bar, and they had the after party for all the musicians that were on the tour, and they wanted the Mulligan Brothers to just play the after party to entertain the musicians. So it was Mumford and Sons,
That's cool.
a bunch of the horn players from Alabama Shakes. They were all hanging out in there, and some of us ended up jamming and really just drinking a whole bunch of whiskey.
Did you do any shots with them?
Yeah, oh yeah, we were. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
As a
We definitely-
musician, I mean, is that like the tits to you or what?
I would
man,
think it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
it was super cool, but we never acted like fangirls. We weren't like,
You can't. Not
oh
in
my
that
god,
scenario.
and we weren't. And I've met a lot of people, man. Like
Those people just want to be treated normal.
they do, and I don't have pictures of a lot of this stuff that I've done with people, and you
God,
kind of want to
Memories
wish
are
that
way
you
better.
had that, but at the
Memories
same,
are way better.
Are you going to
Absolutely.
write
Stories
a
are better than memories.
I don't know. I
book? You should write a book. Like
A
start writing
an
memoir. A
interesting book.
memoir.
and then
I
pass it
mean,
on.
dude, we've through the years. So even with Hip Boot Joe, the biggest thing we ever did was we had won a contest for. It was Kenny Chesney had done this songwriters contest for bands or whatever, and we entered, and they picked like their top 4 from each state, top 4 bands, and then they competed or something like that. I don't remember the exact
Battle of the
details.
bands.
But we won for Louisiana, so our winning slot was we got to go open up for Kenny Chesney and Leanne Rhymes.
Is that common for that to happen? Was it Brandon Green? Didn't he do like a Keith Urban?
He won something, and he got to either write a song with Keith Urban or something like that. Brandon Green and I are friends too.
Is it common for the bigger artists to put on these events? I mean, because you're grabbing somebody if they're really good.
I think so, man. A lot of them are involved in labels, or they can get a co-write with you or whatever, and maybe shape you as an artist.
Skyrocket.
Nobody likes
Be the next Eminem.
nobody likes a good lineup though, like a bad line, like early lineup. Even if it's a
Right.
main act, they want to see good people.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want to. You want to see. I mean, there's so many different
Talent.
Yeah, you want to see talent.
Man, and I'm going to tell you, and the industry is it's really tough now, man. It's changed so much, and it really started changing, I think, honestly, when everything went digital. When people stopped physically buying albums, CDs, or
Oh,
something
MySpace
you
was a
could
wave
put-
too.
Yeah.
I mean, I just remember
MySpace-
as a musician learning how to play something. Had to be able to read music, and then you can
Yeah.
learn by ear once you kind of develop the
Yeah.
knowledge of the chords. But now, anything you want to play, you can Google search it right then and
You
there.
can Google it, and
And
there's
you're
guys
playing.
that'll teach you how to play
How
that
to play,
song
yeah.
note for note,
5
chord
times.
for chord.
Yeah.
And
5
then,
different ways.
you can pull it off if you're somewhat decent or understand.
I feel like
chord
so the
structure.
more people that are playing, and also the more crowded it gets in the room is trying to get your
There is.
your name out
And
there.
I'll tell you something else that's changed the industry too, and it's benefited myself. But having anybody that can have a freaking laptop and a mic, you can record stuff at your house. It's not, you're not going into the big studios and dropping a bunch of money anymore. the big cats are still doing that in Nashville and stuff. But I think there's just when you can buy a $10 a month subscription to a music
Like a
platform, and I'll do it too.
It's a Disc Kid, Disco Kid.
Disco Kid.
So it's like I believe that's what it's called.
Oh yeah,
You put your music in there and it sends it everywhere.
it sends it out to Amazon, iTunes, Spotify. Yeah, it is Disco Kid. You're right.
I would say with the music with like MySpace. Do you remember your first? Like I remember like listening to Hollywood Undead, and they took over the MySpace
because you would put a song, you would have a song that would play when you pull up your profile, right?
Yeah, but no, they also had search for music. You go in there and
you
find
can
all
go to
indie bands, country bands.
pages,
Yeah,
and-
that's right.
And then it was City and Color, Dallas Green, and he was big on MySpace, so he had a lot of like he would do like a lot of demos, and I think he did a MySpace like Apple does their Apple One or what is that BBC One, BC One the London channel. Anyways, they have these series where it's like
BBC. I know that's
Now
the
we
London
were
channel.
on some of the live TV shows
PBS.
with Mulligan Brothers. We were on BBC when we went to Europe and stuff. So
Really?
now how was that?
I didn't even tell you.
No, you
yeah,
didn't.
we
You kind of
toured
stopped.
we toured overseas. Y'all have to keep me on track, man.
Okay, that's okay.
we're
that's
good.
okay.
I'll get all over the place.
We're the
you
same
know?
way. We're both ADD and dyslexic, and
So the Mulligan Brothers, we had a lot of success, man, as an original band. So, and you wouldn't believe how many amazing other great bands that are out there that we would do festivals with and shows with, and like nobody's making it big time. I mean, that's what I was saying about the industry changing. There's a lot of incredible talent out there, but it's just really hard. It's very political, labels are really almost a thing of the past unless you're somebody who's already been somebody like mega stars like Garth Brooks or Keith Urban, like we were talking about earlier. Those people will always be on a label, but there's a ton of talent out there. And when I was touring with Mulligan Brothers, we went around the United States, but we also went overseas, and it's different over there, but different in a good way. Like in Europe, like we did 12 shows. We toured Ireland, Belgium. We went to the Netherlands. Went to Amsterdam.
who set all that up? Like a tour manager?
Well, yeah, we had there's a guy in Baton Rouge. He's from Scotland. His name is Stuart Logan, and Stuart was a friend of mine. He was a pedal steel and guitar player from Baton Rouge. He kind of knew my dad years ago and stuff, but Stuart and I became close after my dad passed away, and we talked a lot, and he got involved with the band, and he was really good. He's a promoter, so he was doing a lot of booking talent for festivals in New Orleans, like the New Orleans Oyster Festival and different. He had his hands in a lot of stuff. Right. Festivals all over Louisiana.
New people.
You need a promoter though.
You need somebody on that level. It's he was able to find like listening rooms and small venues, even, I mean, we did everything from coffee shops to whoever would let us play, even if it was like, we can only pay you $250 as a band.
You would just take the
But
tour.
y'all can put sleeping bags and sleep on the floor in our coffee shop or restaurant or our listening room or whatever, or we'll put you up and we have beds or cots or whatever. And we had a little bus that we had bought. It was like an old church bus, and we gutted it and we renovated it and put 4 bunks in there. And
the grind was real.
But we drove. Everybody took turns driving. And
well, like you're saying in the United States,
and it's in the States.
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm sorry. So here I am jumping
That's
around
fine.
again.
I'm just thinking you're in London. I don't even think they have a van that big.
Yeah,
Did
no,
y'all
no, no.
have
Now,
paint on the
in
outside
Europe,
that notified y'all what that van was? Like the Partridge Family? Like,
no, it
was
wasn't
there or
labeled,
something
man.
like that?
We didn't want to label because people try to, if they know
that
you're a
didn't like
band,
it?
they'll steal your stuff.
All right,
or
that makes
they'll,
sense. That makes sense.
hey, this is a band. That trailer's full of equipment.
Gear.
And it happens a lot, man.
How many times did you play at venues with nobody there?
It definitely happened, man. We were in California on the West Coast, and there was this venue. Of course, I can't remember the names of all these places. I mean, we played hundreds and
This
hundreds
is a
of
decade
venues.
ago.
But,
I'm saying.
well, yeah. I mean,
close to
I
it,
left
yeah.
the band in 2016, so I played from
Okay.
we really got started 2012 through May of 2016 is when I left the band, and that was after we went to Europe and all that. But I'll get into all that in a minute, but nothing bad.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just
No, I want bad stuff. I want drama.
Yeah.
no,
The listeners,
You don't
need
want none of this
drama.
shit, Dewey.
they want drama. No, man. You know, the cool stuff that back to Europe though. When you go over there, people they listen and they appreciate live music and they appreciate it really. And I love our country, man, but there's certain aspects to what's going on now. Like I'm to a point in my career in my life where I'm doing a ton of work, but it's all cover stuff. It's all local. And I look out there, man, and it's like whole tables of families and people and girls taking pictures, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and it's like true. And I look out there. I'm on stage so I can
See it
have a
all.
view of the whole room. And it's really sad, man. Because you're in a restaurant, you're sitting with people, sometimes people you love, your own family. Now, listen, I'm guilty of it sometimes too. I mean, I think we all are. Our phones are attached to us in a certain way, and I have my moments. But I also have my moments where I put it on Do Not Disturb, and I'll put it in another room. I will enjoy an entire day without my phone with my family. And
How's that?
It's nice. I've done it. I started doing it a little bit. Like it's changed.
Man, my phone, I was in I counted 23 different text message conversations today by noon.
Yeah. Well, and I'm that way too.
How long
and
have you
then
been doing that for? Because I just literally started doing, or
So-
5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. I'll just be like,
if I'm with my family on a Sunday, which I'm trying to even like turn down gigs and money, which is hard for me to do because when you're coming up as a musician, you take every freaking gig
or
you can get,
yeah.
even if it's $50, because
it's
you're
hard
like,
out
I want to
there for
work. I need to work. I need to get out there and play music. And it's a grind. You know, I remember the day I finally quit that last day job.
I was about to ask, how?
So-
Tell us about that.
The last job I had was at a music store. That was my stepping stone. You know, I mean,
So that's already like towards that
I was
lifestyle.
moving towards that. So the first job I ever had in my life, I worked at a Winn-Dixie grocery store when I was
Nice.
15.
Respect.
Shout out to Micah Shepard.
Yeah.
It's one of our boys.
A lot of our
Yeah.
friends,
Yeah.
my cousins.
So
Steve,
I
and
worked
everything.
at Winn-Dixie in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I think you could be 15 and work back then. So I think I was 15 years
hardship
old.
too. Yeah.
And so
Were you like a bagger? Or were you like a register bully?
I started out as a cashier, believe it or not.
Dang, they just threw you right in the gauntlet.
Well, they were like, "Yeah, let's train. You know,
you got that face.
you would bag and you would go do that." But after doing my interview or whatever, to work at the grocery store, they're like, "Man, we think you do a good job at the register." So I trained with somebody, and man, I take pride in anything I do. So like, it drives me crazy when I'm checking out at a store now, and they're like, "Boop,
no rhythm to it.
boop," and I'm like, "Oh my God," because I learned all the products in the store, man. I knew where all the barcodes were, so I could just like, do.
You ever seen that movie Employee of the Month?
Yeah, where you just
No.
out there doing the competition.
Yeah,
That was me though. I would have regulars that would come shop at the grocery
Just
store.
getting your line.
They would wait in my line because they knew I was going to be quicker
They have a
than
mo-
the two people standing.
they
in
have
this
a
line.
movie
I
about you. They have a movie
they?
about you.
I was kind of a nerd about it though, man. I mean, I know that sounds silly, but I wanted to get
I love the
people
fact
in and
that
out.
the pride of ownership was there.
Yeah.
You could have been a
So-
manager.
So at what point
I
were you like?
became
Yeah.
a manager after 2 years.
At
so
what point were at like 17?
That's all it's
I did. I was a customer service
They
manager.
should make a movie about it.
And so then they had me work like in the dairy department. So they taught me how to unload trucks and how to rotate dairy stock
They're
so
just
that
getting
your dates are.
Good work for a little bit of pay, probably.
Oh man, I think I made $5.25 an hour. $5.25 was the minimum wage back
Well,
then.
mine was an assistant manager in Winn-Dixie.
Really?
Yeah, my family grew up there. My uncle AJ was he worked in the meat department. My mom's ex-husband, Mike Gilmore, shout out to him. I think he just had a stroke, but he was a manager
Oh,
of
sorry, man.
Bay St. Louis.
Wow.
So Winn-Dixie was always.
When Dixie's still holding it strong.
Yeah, I shop.
That's right.
I
Yeah.
shop Winn-Dixie or Rouse because I if I go to Walmart,
They're
man,
beef people, man. And
Yeah.
you get your meats and stuff out there, you know. But
But no, back to you leaving the everyday job.
Oh, yeah,
and
my bad.
committing- No,
Oh,
committing.
you're fine.
I love
committing
this
to
though.
music.
Yeah,
like,
no, we're
I'm going down memory lane.
what mindset were you in to do that? Because that's got to be like a
So
hard decision.
it was, man, because I think I was gigging a lot, and it was getting to where I was doing like 5-6 nights a week playing, but I was working 5 days a week at the music store, you know, and I did it initially because I got gear at like, I don't know, 3% over cost or something. It was real super cheap. So I was able to buy guitars and amps and cables and picks and whatever I needed, man, for music, and I get a lot of it really cheap. Or I could put down, and then he would even let me put my paychecks towards stuff if I wanted to. And but there was a point where I was sitting in I'll never forget, I was exhausted because I was gigging at night and I had to be there like early in the morning to open the store and like help customers, you know, that were shopping for music gear. And I remember sitting on a stool and I was sound asleep. I was just out, and this has been going on for on and off. I was dozing off. I was just tired.
Death naps.
Right. But I was sleeping in the store, you know, and the manager came in. His name was Steve. And Steve said, "Graham, you know we love you, man. But you falling asleep on the job all the time. Like, why don't you just go and play music? Like, you could just do this full time." I was nervous to let go of that little steady paycheck. But at this point, I had like 5 gigs a week already. So I was like, well, I might just do it.
Were you married at this point? Like,
No. This was before all that. So I finally just took the plunge, man. And I said, well, I'll give you 2 weeks. He said, don't even worry about it. We love you, Graham. You'll always have a job here if you want to come back, kind of situation.
But you can't play music.
But just go do it. Like,
so you had that push.
yeah. And I finally just did it, man. And then that was it. So that was like, then I was like looking for other gigs. So like I was gigging like, I think Wednesday through Saturday at this point. Maybe it was 4 nights a week. And then I ended up getting locked into doing this Cajun Zydeco band on Bourbon Street in New Orleans on Monday and Tuesday nights. And it was perfect because I was like, nobody ever gigs on Monday and Tuesday nights. So we did that gig for about 3 years, man, called the Lost Bayou Boys. And we cut a record. And we were selling them off stage for $20 a piece, CDs, $20 cash. And man, it was getting to the point where we would sell like 60 in a night.
That's pretty boss.
Because it was all tourists and they loved that Cajun Zydeco music.
Did y'all have the
We had a scrubboard player or a washboard player.
Washboard.
Paul LaFleur. He was a guy, I think he was from Eunice, Louisiana
and you
or
got
something.
tips too.
And they passed a big tip bucket, man. So we had this
Monday Night
5-gallon
Football.
Kentwood water jug, and they sawed the top off of it, and then they put like a screen door handle that was screwed into the freaking side of it. So we had this big 5-gallon Kentwood water
Tip
jug.
jar.
What year was this? We got to kind of adjust for inflation.
So, oh my gosh. This was right before I met my wife. So this was like 2000, 2001.
Okay, so money, I mean.
2000, we were walking with, man, we would do like 5 sets a night. And I think they would pay us like $25 a man per set. So we'd make like $125 from the venue. But then we'd make $100 a piece in tips. And then we'd sell all the CDs and we'd just all split the money evenly.
So it was a solid.
It was a solid deal.
Solid deal.
So I was walking with like $300 a night on a Monday and $200 to $300 on a
You're
Tuesday.
making $2,400 a month. Just
Oh, man.
For two days a week.
And then I had my every Wednesday at like a daiquiri shop, and I wasn't making much. It was me and some buddies doing it. We got
$100 here.
free drinks, and we'd make 50 a piece or something. But we were doing a trio, so we were $50 free drinks. I would have been out
Pretty
drinking
solid.
anyway,
Yeah.
spending money. So I was like, this was on the Wednesday nights, and then Thursday through Saturday I was either playing with. I think I had a few country bands that I played with back then, and we would do like big places like the Texas Club in Baton Rouge, and different stuff like that. And then we do all these honky tonks on the weekends, man. I played all these redneck honky tonk bars, and I'm talking like old school places where
Like
they would
Roadhouse.
have
Roadhouse,
they would have
yeah,
a
it's
fit
like-
now.
All
Like,
right,
it
tell
Roadhouse?
us about
Yeah,
one of the craziest barroom brawls that you've seen while playing
And
on
give us a
stage.
year if you can, because
Oh, God.
we got listeners that are gonna be going to Ingle Shipyard tomorrow.
Yeah, they wanna
right.
hear about
So
this.
this was in Hammond, Louisiana.
Okay, I've been there. Heard about
It's a
this.
place. It was a place called.
Best Cracker Barrel in Louisiana. Shout out! No, that's my favorite. one.
Really?
Yeah, I had an aunt that used to live in over there.
They had a bar called Double Deuces.
Sounds interesting.
And the sign out front was just a big rebel flag. All right. So, which, I mean, they would have a fit with that nowadays.
yeah.
But it was just a big rebel flag on the outside, like a big wooden hand carved rebel flag that was all
Yeah.
painted. And it said Double Deuces. So we played there a lot, man. I played with a couple country bands there and through the years. And man, every weekend there was some sort of a fight. But I remember the owner of this place, his name was John, and his wife was always like, "Oh, John's in a mood tonight. I know I'll be bailing him out of jail for fighting." He always he the owner liked to fight, man. So he wouldn't take any crap from anybody. Like, get these drunk rednecks in there, and usually it always started over some guys, girls looking at another cowboy.
know what kind of
And I'm
outfit
talking about this is like,
What his outfit? What kind of outfit was he rocking?
oh, John?
Yeah.
Man, he'd wear like
Wranglers?
shorts and freaking
So
tennis
Tommy
shoes
Bahama
with like
shirt?
with
okay.
like a button up short sleeve, yeah.
So it wasn't like a boss
But
hog.
but this was like everybody else was cowboy boots, hats,
Snap
belt
on
buckles,
Carhartts.
pearl snap shirts. It was like what was that movie? Like Urban Cowboy, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like it was like Urban Cowboy stuff, man. And everybody would get in there and we'd play honky tonk country music, man, and I loved it. I loved doing that stuff.
Can you imagine the females in there?
Oh, it was packed though.
Did they dip the girls?
No, but man, they were gorgeous.
Probably.
They were gorgeous women, and man,
Yeah.
they'd be in all these tight Wranglers and
Girls have
Everything,
a
you
thing
know?
for guys with a guitar, though. Especially you're playing at a honky tonk bar. You're wearing probably a blue jean shirt. Got a raspy voice.
oh man, and I wasn't even the lead singer. I've always been better as a side guy. I've just started doing solo stuff in recent years after I got off the road with Mulligan Brothers. In 2016 is the first time I started really.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always sang, and I sang songs, lead on certain songs with bands I was with through the years. But
What are you? What range do you sing? Do you know? Are you
man, my voice is crazy, and it changes through the years. So it used to be higher when I was younger. It's gotten deeper through the years. It's gotten raspier.
What's it called? I don't
through the
even
years.
know. Is it alto, bass?
It's a baritone, I guess.
Baritone,
I guess I'm a
yeah.
baritone.
Okay.
But I can hit some falsetto stuff that you'd be like,
Where'd that come from?
Well, see this. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, can you play
Yeah.
us something?
I can.
Will you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, play something.
I don't know what you. I don't
Whatever
know what to
you
play.
want, dude.
I
I'm
mean,
not
don't
gonna
know
put
what
you
to
on the
play.
spot or anything, but
Like original stuff, or
whatever you want. Yeah,
or
Yeah. yeah.
So, I guess I'll talk about this now.
I need to test the sound. Make sure you're sounding.
Okay, yeah.
Guys, we're gonna be dropping this on our SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Tucker Glendale.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to you. Let's see.
Hey, check 2, 1, 2. Let's see. All right, so I told you about my dad being a musician, man, and he was my biggest influence as far as becoming a musician. He played guitar. He was a killer banjo player. He played a little bit of fiddle. He wasn't as good as me though. And I can say that my father passed 8 years ago, man.
Fair on that one.
Isn't that, yeah, right. But no, man, his name was Randall Paul Ray, and he went by Randy, and he played with some great bands in the 70s. And they were hippies. They all had the custom made cowboy boots and like custom made jackets, leather jackets, and pearl snap shirts. All the the expensive ones
Yeah.
with the air tip pockets and all
Yeah.
the vines and stuff. And
Oh yeah,
it was straight out of
them
Urban Cowboy.
Look, I'm telling you right now, these shirts they're
I've
still
got one.
around.
I've got a
one.
bunch. Yeah.
I've got one.
You got one?
I got one.
I've got some I don't fit in that were my dad's. But the crazy thing is, back then, man, my dad and all these guys were like this big around. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
different
yeah.
times, you know. So
I didn't have all that processed
I can't-
food and stuff.
I can't fit in any of those dang shirts, man. I'm like, oh.
Dude, McDonald's
But-
going supersize changed the whole entire.
It did. It did, man. All this fast food, you know. But
You miss him a good bit when you play because you play and he plays. I mean,
oh, my dad.
yeah, you miss
mean?
him a lot.
I do, man. I think about my dad often. He was the biggest influence, and I think the part that's the hardest is my dad would have loved like my sister and I as kids. You know, like my sister only has one girl, and I've got one boy. My son's name is Lennon. I'll back that up for a second. My dad named me Graham after Graham Parsons from the Byrds. So his name was spelled Gram. I think his real name was Ingram, but he went by Graham, Gram. And my dad loved Graham Parsons in the 60s. So he named me Graham after Graham Parsons. I became a musician like my father, Randy Ray. And
Shout out to Randy Ray.
yeah, my pops.
Oh,
Man.
he's listening.
Yeah, he's listening, man. And I carried on that tradition. I became a musician like my father. I named my son Lennon after John Lennon. So my dad named me after a musician. But I grew up listening to my dad, all his records. Now, this was vinyl stuff, and I still love listening to vinyl. My wife, Jamie, and I have a lot of vinyl records, and a lot of them that I got from my dad and my grandmother and stuff when they all passed away. So I've got some real cool stuff, man. But we love listening to records, and then but carrying on that tradition, him naming me after the Byrds, Graham Parsons from the Byrds, and me naming my son after John Lennon from the Beatles.
Yeah, Lennon Ray.
Lennon Ray.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but my dad was my biggest influence of wanting to. He never forced it on me though, which was super cool. Just we had access to instruments around the house. They were just hanging on the walls and sitting in the corners and stuff like that. And he was never the one that would be like, "Oh, don't touch that one. You know, that's expensive." He was just like, if you were curious, it was cool. It was all right. So I didn't start playing violin until I was 11 years old. And I was like, you know, my dad was playing a little bit of fiddle and stuff, and I wanted to try that, man. I was starting middle school in Baton Rouge, and I was like, they were like, well, do you want to play in the band? And I was like, that sounds cool. Band sounds cool. And they're like, well, we actually don't have any slots left. Like everybody, all the horns and drums and everybody wanted to be in band. So they said, we got choir or strings left. And I was like, choir could be cool. So I went one day, and I went in the choir class. I was 11 years old. This is 6th grade, right? And I remember looking, and it was like 40 chicks. I was the only guy. And I was like, I'm not doing this. Now, if I knew now,
You would have done it.
I would have been like, oh, with all these girls. And
Yeah.
I was like, I ain't doing that. I said, my dad's got a violin, too. I think that would be cool. There was only like 11 kids in the orchestra. And I was like, this is cool. And maybe I'll get more one-on-one with the teacher and stuff like that. So I took a violin, man, and that's the greatest decision I ever made. Because I've grown up. I've been playing fiddle for 36 years now.
And I'm sure it's not easy to play.
I'm still learning.
Yeah.
That's the thing, man. You never quit learning, ever.
I
And
agree.
there's always somebody better than you at anything you do.
Yeah.
That's 100% true.
And it is true. And a lot of people don't realize that. Or guys that have egos, they think their stuff don't stink, you know? And it's like, man, there's always somebody that can
Knock you off the
hand
wheel.
you your ass, really, on your own
That
instrument.
was one
you know?
lesson I learned at a young age.
You got to
Dad
definitely.
instilled that one.
So,
No matter how bad you think you are.
but then there's people that are amazing on the same instruments, but they're different styles. They're just different.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Everybody's got their own little ways of doing things and intricacies.
I
That
feel
are,
like that with like I do photography, and
Yeah.
I have a certain style, but it's honestly people didn't realize I would force myself to shoot 500 photos a week, and I would just go out by myself, and this is around your time, 2012
yeah.
kind of area, but I would just go out and force myself to start understanding.
That's how you get better, though.
Yeah. I was
You know,
horrible. I didn't know.
I mean,
it was bad.
I think, what do they say? They say something like, if you do 10,000 hours of something,
Yeah.
then you're kind of an expert
Master
at it,
of your
or
craft.
master of your craft.
Yeah.
I guarantee you I have that.
Yeah.
in.
Oh, I love that.
I'm not saying, God, that sounds bad. I'm not saying I'm a master of my craft because I'm still growing and
But
learning.
a true master
But-
would say, I'm still learning.
Playing as many hours as I've done for the last, I've been a full-time musician for 22 years.
Yeah.
So like,
That's badass.
that's most of my time is working on music, recording, you know.
Do you ever get tired of it?
I won't say you get tired of it, but there are definitely nights where you're like, you got your regular little gig downtown, and you know it's gonna be the same people in there hanging out and
On their
ordering
phones?
the same drinks or on the phones, and it's like sometimes I'd rather just sit there with my wife and son, man, and chill and relax, and not have to go. You know, the thing about singing and entertaining is when you get up there, no matter what's going on in your life, whether a family member is sick or terminally ill, or somebody has passed away, or if you're fighting with your wife, you're just having an argument. When you walk in that venue and set up and you hit that first note, how y'all doing tonight? Welcome out, y'all. You got to push
All that out
all
of
the
the
crap
way,
you're
yeah.
dealing with. Put a smile on, and you're being paid to entertain this venue. You want people to stick around and hang out and buy drinks, and they're getting drunk, and they're like, "Whoa, played Brown Eyed Girl! Oh my God!"
You've probably seen a lot of boobs too in your life.
I have, man. I don't know. My wife is gonna watch this probably, by the way, but
Hey,
but
Okay.
these were
are before-
pre-wife boobs though.
yeah,
right.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Actually, even when I was married, she knows.
well, I mean, it's
She knows the drill, man. That's crazy.
rock
I
and
worked
roll,
on
man.
Bourbon Street in New
Rock
Orleans
and
for
roll.
years.
Yeah.
I like how you you kind of got into playing, and then it's like, and you have to put on your face, and you have to entertain. I think that's a big part of it, because if you go in there with an ego and then think that everything's got to be catered to you because, you're a local rock star,
No.
people can feel that.
I have tried my whole life to just be humble to an extent. You know what I mean? Like, I've worked really hard and I've put in thousands of hours, with all of my instruments, man, learning multiple instruments and recording and writing. I haven't been an avid songwriter, man. I've done a lot of co-writes, but if I'd have spent less time screwing off, in certain aspects of my life, there were a lot of years that I just
Hey, everything happens for a reason.
drank a lot and partied a lot. I did a lot of drugs and alcohol through the years. A lot of that comes with the territory, though, man. When you're playing in bar rooms 5-6 nights a week, I mean, it's around, Playing in bands that like to party, I mean, that happened a lot, too.
I don't know there's that many bands that don't party.
Right.
Christian rock bands.
Yeah.
Well,
and
yeah,
even them, maybe.
No, you never know.
I mean,
What do they call it? California sober? They're like behind closed doors. They're all partying.
yeah. Yeah,
All
that's
right,
true.
play us something
But
good. Man. We know you got something up your
I was
sleeve.
talking about my dad. My dad passed away about 8 years ago from an early onset of dementia. He was diagnosed at 55 years old, which is young to have, dementia or Alzheimer's or any of that. And he lived for 9 years, if you want to call it that. But I watched his demise over 9 years and watch him forget how to play instruments and how to not be able to really. He had a studio, and we always wanted to record together, and I was always so busy. One of my biggest regrets is he got sick. We realized something was happening, and then I was like, okay, I want to come and record with you, but I could only get over there about once a month because I was so busy in life, and we only got about 6 songs done, man, and of his. And when we started out, each month I would come, he would forget how to play another instrument, couldn't use his recording gear. I had to read the manual and learn how to run his stuff, and we ended up getting 6 songs cut, but by the end of it, he couldn't even sing or anything. He was like, he couldn't read his own lyrics. So we ended up having to put him in a home for the last, like a memory care home, for the last 5 years of his life. And but I used to go play for him there. I would go play music for him. And I realized for him and the other residents that lived in the memory care home how important music, how valuable music is, man. And it's a therapy.
Oh, absolutely.
And even in the latest stages of their disease, even when my father couldn't speak anymore and really had some mobility issues, he would react to the music, man. I'm telling you, I could start playing a Beatles song or something that he knew from back in the day, and he would sway or he would look at me, man. He would look me right in the eyes and like it was different. He would be looking down. I would start singing and playing, and he would look. I just knew. I was like, he's feeling this. He's in there. He gets it. And or he would hum or sway or even move his leg. Like he just, it was powerful, man.
Yeah.
And that's why, if you look now, all the shows I'm doing, like this 8 and 10 a week, during the day I do assisted living and memory care homes. And I continue to do that because I really feel like music therapy is super important. And it really,
awesome, man.
it really gives back to me. But I do make some money doing that as well. All these places, you know, they do have an entertainment budget, and they're like, well, the first one I was going to do.
This cool guy come do it.
I was, well.
Do you do magic while you're in there too?
No, man, no magic.
What would that mean?
Juggling with the
You should learn a trick
unicycle,
or
you know.
two, just for intermissions.
Right.
And they pay attention.
No, but they do. But I play to the room wherever I'm at. If it's a young crowd, I'll play young music. Youngish, I guess.
But do they pay more attention than a person at a bar?
Absolutely. They sit and listen. But I do like old hymns, and I do Elvis Presley, and I do the Everly Brothers and Buddy Holly, and like
It's good music right there.
I try to get to know the residents at each venue, so I'll learn their names if I can. I put notes in my phone. I cheat a little bit and descriptions, you know.
Yeah.
Old lady in the wheelchair,
That's just
Miss
you learning where
so and so, and you know, and
now
That's
Yeah.
just you learning where the barcode is on the item right there. Man.
right. So, but I learned that, and I put their songs that they like, their request. So I'll be like, oh, this one's for Miss so and so. This one's for you. There's a 99-year-old woman at a certain facility, and she loves the Tennessee Waltz. So I went home. It's from the 1940s, and I went and learned the Tennessee Waltz. So now when I see her, I'm like, Miss So-and-so, this is for you. You know, I'm not going to say her name on here. I don't know why. Not that it really matters, I don't think. But she's 99 years old, and when I'm done with these are our social hours. You know, it's a 1 hour thing. But when I'm done, she comes over there with her walker really slowly, you know, and she's like, thank you so much, you know. She's
That's got to mean the world to
and
you.
she loves, and man, and that touches my heart. So I do a lot. I do 3 to 4 of those a week. I have 14 assisted living and memory care facilities that I do every month. I do them all once a month, but I have 14. I'm up to 14. And I finally told my wife, I said, I gotta stop because I'm getting to where I'm like doing something every day and every night. And you know, I need to leave some family time. But no. This is not the. These were not the boobies we were talking about from earlier on Bourbon Street. Anyway, back to this song, man. My dad, Randy Ray, about when he was in the home, about a year before my dad died, I had a dream that he died. And I remember rolling over and looking at the clock and it being 12 o'clock midnight on the dot. It was really awkward. It was weird. It was 12. I remember being upset. And it took me a minute. I looked over, you know, my wife was sleeping, and I was like, oh my God, my dad's gone, you know? And then I realized, oh, it was a dream. He didn't die, but in a sense, he had been gone mentally for a long time with dementia. And these lyrics kind of just started coming to me, man. And at the time, I was writing a bunch of songs. Every Wednesday, I would get together and write with a songwriter in Ocean Springs, Marianne Allison. And she and I were writing once a week. We'd get together and write songs. We wrote a bunch of songs together. a lot of it was just fictional songs, you know. I mean, it was like almost like a formula, kind of getting together. Like, what do you want to write about today? And it would be almost like how they would write in Nashville. She wrote with a bunch of people in Nashville, and
Like pick a topic.
yeah, we were just like, hey, what do you want to write about? Or hey, I've got this idea on guitar. Or she played piano and stuff too, and guitar, and she'd be like, I've got this, and you know, as sometimes when you're just riding around, like I would put notes in my phone. Two words would come to me, and I'd be like, that's a cool topic or a cool idea. I don't think I've ever heard that in a song before or whatever. But so we would throw topics or musical ideas together, and then we would sit there and hash it out for 3 or 4 hours and write a song. Sometimes if we didn't finish, we would get together the next Wednesday and try to finish it or think about it through the week. And we just do demos of it, you know. And a lot of that stuff I've never even recorded, man. And I've got all these songs sitting
But you
there.
can still go back and do that.
I need to. I've never done a Graham Ray record. So I was telling y'all earlier, I've played on hundreds of albums for other people. And bands I've been in have put out records, but I've never done a solo record.
Just weren't
And
ready yet.
It is a bucket list thing of mine, and I'm so busy, and maybe that's an excuse. Maybe I'm scared to do it. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But this song,
We'll push you.
these lyrics, yeah. These lyrics came to me when I dreamed about my dad dying. It was midnight, and this was a Tuesday night. And that next Wednesday morning, I went to Mary Ann's house, and I said, "Hey, I've got these lyrics. I had this dream about my dad dying." And she said, "Well, my dad just went into the hospital this morning." And I was like, "Whoa." I said, "Well," and so we sat down and we wrote this song together, even though it was kind of a personal thing for me about my father. And we wrote it from my father's point of view of how I imagined he saw himself passing away. And it's called Midnight Ride. So I hope I can remember these lyrics. Oh my gosh,
All right,
man.
well,
I'm
I'm
going to try to.
excited.
Oops, sorry. So this is written from my dad's point of view of how I think he imagined himself passing away. So, which is kind of a weird way to write the song, I know, I guess,
like it.
but
It's unique.
it's different. I hope I remember. I might even mess up my own song, y'all.
That's okay. We're
sorry.
forgiving.
But this is called Midnight Ride. Let me get in the right key. Let's do this first.
Okay. All right. No, dude. Yeah, there's no rush here.
I need a capo. All right. I was about to mess up and then be like, "Woo, I can't sing it." All right.
I think we're good.
I'll wait till he gets back.
Do you like that capo better than the one that just squeezes on?
I do, man. This is a shub.
Is that like the Rolex of capos?
No, no, there's some cooler ones, man, that I think I want to get, but I like the way this one definitely works better. Some of those little like Kaiser capos, those clamp-ons,
Yeah,
man,
that's what I got.
they wear out after a while and stuff. And this seems to be one that's really stood the test of time. And
Looks good. It looks good.
yeah. So let's see here. I'll try to sit up a little bit. I'm probably facing away from the camera. Sorry.
Make you look good. We'll make you look good.
That's right. So this is called Midnight Ride, y'all. Take me easy when the moonlight shines. I'm not looking for the sun to rise again and fall. I can't change it all. Dancing with the devil in sight. Losing battle, waging war. I breathe my breath away. devastate. I'm leaving on a midnight ride. My soul is drifting slowly from my side. The skies are falling while the darkness wins. This is my beginning of the end. And I'm leaving on a midnight ride. I'm leaving on a midnight ride. Passing on along the endless sea. The wind has come to carry me away into the deep, never-ending sleep. I close my eyes and think again of who I am and where I've been. It all just slips away. I got lost along the way. I'm leaving on a midnight ride. My soul is drifting slowly from my side. The skies are falling while the darkness wins. This is my beginning of the end. And I'm leaving on a midnight ride. I'm leaving on a midnight ride. Together, worn and weathered rain, never severed from my name. Forever tethered to my bones. You'll find me where I call home. And I'm leaving on a midnight ride. My soul is drifting slowly from my side. The skies are falling while the darkness wins. This is my beginning of the end. And I'm leaving on a midnight ride. And I'm leaving on a midnight ride.
That's dope.
Man.
That's sick,
Super
man.
dope.
So that's for my dad.
I love that.
Randy
I
Ray.
really do, man. I really, really do.
Um,
And I can see the uniqueness of putting it through his eyes. I love that.
Yeah.
Dude. I mean,
Man, you know, that song, crazy thing is, when my dad actually died, there's a sense of relief. I don't know, and people can probably relate to this. That
I mean, if
have
they're suffering, or if they're out there, I feel that way.
family members that, if they have family members that have gone through dementia and Alzheimer's
It's common now.
and all that,
It's a lot of people.
My
that-
grandmother
you
had
watch. It's very common. I mean, there's a lot of disease that don't get me going down that rabbit hole from that. I really believe is just all our food and processed food,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
fast food and everything else. But anybody who's dealt with that, which is becoming a far more common thing, I think, you watch them forget a lot of who they are. You watch them forget things gradually over time. So in a sense, I've got a song idea called, oh God, if I can remember, The Long Goodbye, that I want to write. I haven't written it yet, but I want to, and it's that 9-year period of watching my dad. I mean, it's heartbreaking to watch them forget how to do things that they know how to do, and then get to a point where they can't even do
What was the
physical
first, What was
things.
the first year like? Like, say the first 2 years.
To be honest,
Yeah,
my dad partied a lot. You know, he was an old hippie musician, man. He did a lot. He took a lot of things, and smoked a lot of things, and he drank a lot, and we grew up in the '60s, man. You know, and
Nothing wrong with that.
so but even later in life, he still
Rock and
smoked.
rolling.
He smoked a lot of weed, and he did other stuff too, you know. But man, he that first year, I think it was more like I would see him and he would say stuff, or he'd have a little trouble communicating, like people, places, things, like items. He couldn't. Hey man, pass me the thing over there. I was like, what thing? He's like, the thing, you know.
A big cup.
I was like, right.
Okay.
It would be like an everyday item, but he had difficulty just communicating about certain things. And at first, I would be like, he would say stuff, and I was like, "Are you high? Are you drunk? Are you messed up? You know, like what's going on, Dad?" And he's like, "No, you know." And then it became over a few. Once he got diagnosed, like they realized something was going on. I said, "Well, let's go, just get like a checkup. You know, get your blood work done." And they realized some things were going on or whatever, and you know, finally ended up going to a neurologist, and they ended up doing scans of his brain, and they said, you know, part of his frontal lobe is dead. Like, we don't know if he had like a mini stroke and never knew about it, or if he did, he didn't tell anybody or didn't get help about it, or, you know, it could have been when he was drinking. I mean, it could have been anything. Like, we don't really know. But then it was a gradual process where he would forget how to do things, and then we had to start putting, like, he wouldn't eat. So we would set out, like, a cereal box and a bowl and a spoon, and then we would be like, here, the milk's in the refrigerator. And for a while, he would pour his cereal and pour milk and do it, and then got to a point where you get home and the cereal's still sitting there, the bowl and the spoon's still sitting there, and he didn't eat. Or he'd burn up stuff in the microwave because he was forgetting how to just use a microwave. And he would do everything in a minute and 11 seconds. So it was either really undercooked or way overcooked if it was something that just
He
needed
could
30
have done a
seconds.
hot pocket.
Right. Right. So, man, you know, and then it got to a point where we would make him sandwiches and stuff. And now I say we, this was kind of like my stepmom, you know, because they lived in Prairieville, Louisiana, outside of Baton Rouge. I was still here in Mississippi. She saw more of the day-to-day stuff. So I would really notice it when I would go in and see him, because I only had time to go in about once a month. And I would notice it big time from month to month. If I hadn't seen him in 3 weeks
the
or something,
progressions
I was
on
like,
the daily is,
holy crap. She saw it every day, so it might have been minor things that, you know, she saw or whatever. But the changes were bigger for me, and it got to the point where she would make him a sandwich, and then he wouldn't even eat the sandwich that was made in the refrigerator. And we came home, and he had like a knife and had grabbed the turkey packet out, like it was like one of the little plastic bins, and he didn't even know how to open it, so he like stabbed it and like tore it apart. He ate all the meat out of it, like caveman instincts or something, you know, and like he was hungry, but he didn't know there was a sandwich sitting right there pre-made for him. So it's sad to watch that happen, man. But what I was getting at is you actually grieve over that period of time. There were times where I cried. I was like, this is not my dad anymore. When I would go visit him in the home, especially, there were times where I was like, I remember bawling, crying, and my wife being there consoling me, or even the caretakers and nurses there would be like, it's okay. We see this all the time. And so that song, Midnight Ride, I actually sang it at his funeral. And
I bet that was tough.
it was, but it wasn't.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what I was getting at. I had grieved for 9 years that when he finally was gone, I mean, the latest stage is like you can't even feed yourself. Like,
Right.
you can't eat. And then it gets to the point where, I mean, he had to be bathed and changed, fed. And then it gets to the point where you're not even swallowing correctly. That's like the last thing to go or whatever. And I think he aspirated some food, and you kind of get pneumonia, or and then that's it. I mean, so I was able to sing that song, Midnight Ride, at my dad's funeral, and It was tough, but I was able to do it. And I really think it's because I had already grieved slowly over 9 years. I had watched his demise, man. You know what I mean? So,
Graham, do you think the reason you haven't wrote an album, you haven't put out an album, is due to your dad passing? You think if he had still around, would you, like?
No, I think if I'm being 100% honest with y'all,
Yeah, do that.
I'm a little nervous about. I've just never considered myself a great songwriter, man. I don't know.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
I'm
if
afraid-
what you just played to us
Yeah.
is any indication on your level of songwriting, go for this shit.
But I
dude.
feel like that's one of my better ones. You know, it's very personable to me, and I think part of my problem was I did write with Mary Ann for years,
that probably only makes you better.
and we didn't write about just real life stuff. I did write another song.
Do you want to write about fiction stuff?
No, I'm saying I think some of the best songwriters out there just tell true stories.
Yeah, I mean, look
It's
at
it's not a fictitious thing. It's about real life, and I should still put out an album because I've got some really fun
Yeah,
kind of.
and you're young and you got all the
So-
time in the world to do it right now.
I do, man. You know, and you know, my son is
You like
16.
T Swift? I mean, she's out here writing about
You know what though?
real life scenarios.
And there's a lot of people that don't like T Swift, man. But I watched
I'm
that
gonna shout
documentary
out,
on
like-
her. She writes all them freaking songs, man. She's great. She writes all that stuff.
Well, I mean, it all starts with the pen and paper, right?
It does,
Or
man.
an idea,
It does.
and being able to capture it and then capitalize on it. And
Well, and you know,
sharpen
man,
it.
I don't want to say I'm lazy when it comes
you're
to
definitely
songwriting.
not lazy.
I'm not. I work my butt off, man. In my career, and I have a family. My wife Jamie and my son Lennon mean the world to me. I've been with my wife for 22 years. Hasn't been easy being married to a musician that partied for years, and I did a lot of stupid stuff throughout my career and my
We
life.
all have.
And you know
there,
what,
done
man?
that.
We all
I
have. You're
think-
not alone.
Right. I think part of it too, though, there was years that I was just drinking and partying, and then you have your hangover time as well. That could have been time where I could have been waking up and, hey, I'm going to record a song today.
Yeah,
or
but
I'm
you're gonna
gonna,
sit here and live in the what ifs and
Yeah,
vibes.
you gotta. it's
And I
about-
can't do
you gotta
that.
plan
Right.
out.
Today. It's about today.
I mean, so one thing me and Jordan did, and I will commend it, and that was just be consistent and set that time aside for it. Just similar to you setting your Mondays and Tuesdays aside for the Zydeco gig. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it takes. And a man
You're
as
right,
busy
yeah.
as you, I mean, you got to fit it in. You got to find in where that time fits in, and only you know that. You know, and,
I do,
and
man.
it
but I
comes
want
with a little give
the
and
best
take.
songs.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I would honestly put it like Matt said. I would honestly put it out. I would set a time and just send out your work, and look, it's got meaning behind it. We had to figure this about like our show, and I always say it's like we didn't know who was going to listen to us. And it was never. But once we started, you know,
We didn't care.
Right.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
like we want to entertain people.
Yeah.
At
yeah.
first, it was nerve wracking. At first, you had a little nerve wracking stuff, but then you're like, man, by the time we've already got shitty drunk on this show and hugged and laughed, and it got to a point where
It's second
people
nature.
come up to us and like hug us, like I can relate to
And
you.
you know what
Yeah.
they tell us about? They tell us about the ones that we were like, that's probably not our best.
Right. You're
And-
right.
And that's where I learned, like, if you just put something on the wall,
right.
it might not be your favorite. It might not be what you
But it
think's
may
the
connect
best.
with somebody else.
Somebody out there
Yeah.
is going to run with it. And I guarantee you, some of Taylor Swift or any singer-songwriter, some of their number one hits, they weren't thinking this is about to be the number one hit when they wrote it.
I mean, you're right, man.
I mean, but it's easy to say.
I would
it,
like
you
to
know,
have
it's-
more time to write, you know, and
I feel like you already got
I
a
think
couple
when my
of songs
son
in there though.
graduates high school and starts college,
How old is
I
he?
think he's 16. He's a junior
Okay.
at
Does he
St.
play?
Martin High School.
Does he play? Stingham.
He's-
Shout out Stingham.
He's
Or
right. That's right.
somebody, yeah.
He's an amazing tennis player, man.
But instruments?
But it's
musician?
so he taught himself how to play guitar,
That's
but he took
dope.
a couple years of piano lessons, kind of on and off. He started for a while and then stopped, and then
I feel like
I
guitar
wouldn't say
will
a
get you
couple
more
years.
chicks than piano.
Right.
Just ask
Well,
Brendan Roybal.
He was good. Oh,
That's I
I
mean,
just keep clowning on Brendan. We need to get him on the
Oh,
show.
Brendan
ASAP,
Roybal.
he wants to
dude.
come on. He's been wanting to come on. Look, I tell you what,
He's got to bring his
dude.
guitar.
Him and his keytar will take over the coast. I ain't gonna lie to you,
Dude,
He's
he
one-
brought that thing out and played with me and
Brendan
Ty
is one of
before
the
on a
best
Wednesday night.
musicians down here on the coast.
Man, he's-
hands down, he is so.
He's amazing, and I love Brennan. I really do, man. That that boy could be working far more than he does. But I think that's his thing. He doesn't. He's not worried about doing
any kind of artist, musician, creative person.
Yeah, you're living on your own spectrum.
Yeah.
And you're your own worst critic. I mean,
Brennan's great though, man. We've done a lot of shows together. Honestly,
being a musician doesn't seem fun for like a circuit down here on the. And I told Cash this. Like, you got to get your music out. You got to push yourself.
Yeah.
Because like you get in that circuit, which is not a bad thing. But like if Cash, he wants to get out. You know, he wants to.
And nobody else is going to put it out there unless you get a promoter.
Cash is young. Like I'm 47.
Still young, bro.
I'm 47, but I'm like,
yeah, no.
I'm not ready. Like I don't want to get. I've done the touring thing though. I don't want to get out there and try to tour again, man. And I think it's different. Writing. I think it's different from since COVID too, though, man. I think a lot of that changed.
What made that girl?
A lot of venues never came back.
What made that girl sit down and write with you on Monday or back?
It was Wednesdays.
Yeah. Was it just
how
like
do we
a
even
mutual
get into
agreement?
that? Yeah,
have you ever thought about rekindling that or kind of
she moved to Vegas,
taking in a
man.
Padawan?
She's in Vegas,
but she was the veteran in that scenario. Now you could be the veteran for some younger cat.
Or
and maybe piggyback off of their.
Yeah. Well, she's a CPA.
So?
Now I don't even think she's writing anymore. I don't know.
I'm just saying, like, you could piggyback off of the next up and comer and ride their rhythm and kind of get back into the swing.
Maybe
I'm just trying to think of some
Cash
ways.
is young, man.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of some
Cash
ways
has
to
a lot of raw
this.
talent that he's.
So let's talk about your home studio.
Okay.
Okay.
How long
have you had one? Since day one?
No,
record?
not really, man. I bought an iMac in 2013, and I think it was shortly after that. No, I'm sorry. It goes way back further than that.
Are you a Logic guy?
I am now. I love Logic.
He can teach us some Logic.
That's right.
I love Logic Pro. I was a Pro Tools guy for years, and I switched from Pro Tools to Logic because Pro Tools, every time your iOS on your iMac would update, all of a sudden Pro Tools would have all these crashes, and it wasn't compatible because I guess Pro Tools wasn't keeping up with it, or they wanted you to buy the next version. And
exactly
Logic is made by Apple, so it's gonna.
It only made logical sense.
It did, and I was upset with myself for not going to that way sooner. But I love Logic now, man. Logic's what I use now, but.
We got it. We're not that great at it. We've made some stuff with it.
We played around. We've made a few songs. We do have a SoundCloud.
Yeah.
It's our old bus route from one of your children.
That's
Tucker Glendale. You can find.
What's it called?
Tucker Glendale.
Tucker Glendale.
I got a couple songs.
Probably could be the lead singer.
I love it. Yeah.
Tucker Glendale is Latimer. We're from.
I'm in Latimer. I live in Latimer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm off of Tucker Road. Off of Broadnax over there, man.
And you're way up there.
Yeah.
So you have these
3
days,
miles.
So you have these 2 days, Monday and Tuesday. This is kind of our thing. And we're not consistent at times because like we have an insurance agency now,
right?
And that's like it kind of. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, it kind of fucked us up for the last because we've been doing this thing 3.5 years,
right?
So when we went to being very consistent, sometimes we were doing like 3 shows a week.
Oh wow!
We just get like not just shows.
What are y'all doing now? Like roughly once a week?
We're back to 2 though. We're going like because we're realizing like I mean we do whatever we want now, but we won't go unless we have like a really good producer set up doing live. And I like now I'm really enjoying being out in the streets. Like
I did kind of watch one of your episodes. That like Fly Llama.
Yeah, I love it.
It was the old guy and he was talking about, he had some stories. Yeah, he was great.
Yeah,
and that's not we just want to deliver content.
So
no matter how
I have a question for y'all.
All right, come on.
Because I'm curious, and I apologize, y'all that watch this. I never really even watched the podcast until y'all were like, "Hey, we want you to be on here," and then I was like, "Oh my god, let me check out what some of the other people that." But then I started looking. I was like, "Man, y'all, Mizo and Ty Taylor and Cash. Like, I mean, it's all people I know." But I wanted to ask you, how do y'all determine who you want on the show, and is it all aspects, different people, different careers?
So I'm going to answer this one first. So if you ask me on, you can't be on. That's been our rule. But for you, I met you at the class reunion, and I've always seen you play.
Yeah.
But blackout drunk, you actually helped carry me to my car. Like I drank tequila,
which is ironic if you knew my past.
Yeah, but you.
I was usually the guy being carried out to the car.
Nice guy, and then Matt's fiance, they booked you for their wedding coming up in November.
Yep.
You could take like Matt loves the way you play music.
I just got mad respect for it, man. Because like I said, I've grown up playing. But as you feel you're not that great of a songwriter, I felt like I'm not that great of a musician, and it stung me and put me back.
Man.
Good.
But everybody's in a different
somebody
phase of their
know.
life. You know, that's what I'm saying. So
he's more of a storyteller, so he'll grab the guitar and sit in that corner Indian style and like come up with songs.
But as
that's
somebody
great,
who
though.
doesn't know how to play anything, I'm a good musician. But to someone who plays, every day, and you know what it is? It's practice.
But I would never say you're bad.
No,
I would
wouldn't tell
say
anybody that I would never say I was good.
You have less hours than me.
Way less hours.
You know what I mean?
And
that's how I like to look at stuff.
So I grabbed the guitar this past weekend and I picked it up and I started strumming. I was at a buddy's house and I realized, like, damn, this is the first time I've touched the guitar in probably a year.
Oh wow,
And that's a long time. I could feel
you
the
lose
rust.
some of it.
I could feel the rust in my hands as I was rolling through chords.
Oh yeah.
And even in my mind, and I thought about it, like, man, I better start doing this more before I forget about it. And then it was sad. It was kind of but if you go back, you watch our original intro to this show, it was me strumming and singing on the guitar.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go check that out.
This is what
It was our original. I think a lot though too, and like I said, going back to if we like something we're influenced by having a guest on.
Or opportunity. Like if you told
Yeah.
us that your dad was the star of the next Mission Impossible movie, we'd be like, hey man, like, while we got you here,
Let's talk about your dad. You know, right? Or get your dad in.
I would say for you that like we go back to the like consistency. You're still gonna have these roadblocks. Like me and him, like honestly, like Golden Gulf Insurance Services is a great company.
Right.
But there's so much work's got to put in there, and it kind of threw our brains off. Like, he's not playing guitar anymore. I'm not doing the photography like we used to.
You get busy, but you got bills to pay too,
100%.
man, and that's what happens to all of us.
And I never like for a while before we did insurance, like I'd always have we'd always have our cameras with us. So it's just like, but now you adjust then. So because we're not giving up our consistent 2 days. So if we gave up the 2 days, like anytime we could say like, hey man, should we even do Monday, Tuesday anymore? If we said no,
we're back to it.
Yeah,
right.
but if
we
we say
know
no,
to do without it.
we're never going to push.
It's a creative freedom, is what it is.
It's the 2
Well, I
days.
think y'all
It's the
should-
2 days.
I think this is a passion for y'all too, though, right? I mean, like, do you love it? You enjoy it?
I love insurance too. I mean, I love it.
Yeah.
I love everything I do.
Yeah.
I
made
if
my-
I don't, I won't do it. That's
I
the
made
truth.
my hobby, my passion, my career, which is why
And they say
they always-
be careful doing that.
they do.
because
But some people say, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
I say I'm going to write a book called They Say. To have all the shit they say.
They say.
I think the great thing about doing our creative stuff, doing the show, and it's not even just Matt, it's Garrett too. Garrett joined us halfway through our show.
Yeah.
It's honestly one of our favorites. We have after hours, and it's just a conversation with us with no video.
Maybe a little
Oh, yeah.
more raw, if you will.
But y'all
Yeah,
record all
It's
the
out- it's
audio.
out-
and
yeah,
out there.
it's out there.
To 'em.
It's
For the
being
real fans.
because we do like movies and TV shows,
Yeah.
and like I
We
have
talked about the new Twisted Metal on the last one.
yeah we like
All right.
movies and stuff. We're normal
That's
people.
awesome.
We
We're
do,
90s kids. Born in the 80s.
We do get
That's,
hungover.
I was
I'm not-
76, so I graduated high school in 94.
You had a video game console. You're kind of there, yeah.
Right.
and you're watching us grow too, because like I don't like being hungover as much anymore.
Yeah.
That's wearing on me, and the same thing, like it's wearing on me. And I'm like,
The hangovers suck.
so I like doing like pushing into the creative side, but I come back to that Monday and Tuesday, man, because we just like we won't kick that day.
we
Even
have
if,
a cartoon
Right.
we developed. We're working on developing new skits and taking stories from the show and turning them into some cartoon clips.
Wow, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
conversation at a bar is going to be a new thing that we do too. Like I think we're going to probably have.
Now, did you just walk in there and find somebody
already
that wanted
knew-
to be, or
well-
did you know somebody was going to be there?
Already, Mr. Lewis, Mr. Lewis, 87-year-old civil engineer from Biloxi. He can't come up to our studio, and it just got to a point where we were working so much with insurance and stuff, and it's like, I mean, I do like Adobe, and I'm big into.
So you just brought a laptop out there?
No, we
and
have our
you're-
old gear, our first ever gear, and a
You
book
got
bag.
travel gear.
Oh, yeah.
Same way you got travel equipment.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know,
But-
you
Yeah,
got
yeah.
stuff for the house and you got stuff.
It's not
for-
perfect.
Absolutely.
It's not overthought, because before when we were first doing it, it was overthought. 3 cameras, this, and there's a lot with me trying to be perfective too. And then he goes into it, then Garrett goes into it. So then before we do our show, he's checking the cameras 4 times.
Right.
Garrett's checking the cameras.
It's
checking.
amazing to see the progression of it. I can remember
Yeah.
one of the first times me and him set up, and I looked at him and I was like, "This sucks, but it's only gonna get better from here."
But you
know,
get quicker.
and
You
that's
realize
that's everything you do
what you can do.
and what you can't do.
You realize what's really not that important. Like we don't need
3 cameras.
3 cameras.
We just need a kick-ass
Yeah.
guest
No,
that can play some good music.
And
you know, maybe y'all will have one day.
I would trade the story about you playing at a memory loss center for people that battle with that because of your dad. I would rather have that as a conversation and us and learn knowledge, gain knowledge from you than check a comment. Oh, I'm here. Hey, I'm in the house. Like, yeah, that's great.
And every now and again, we try to reach. Like, I know at one point, like the Calvin Parker, that was a reach. I'm messaging this old man that I friended on Facebook that may or may not be the guy that was abducted by aliens.
Oh,
and the
guy from Pascagoula.
Yeah. We had him on the show.
Oh, you had him? Yeah.
He messaged me back. He's like, "Man, well,
I did the little Main Street Pascagoula, their Main Street, their downtown association thing. They hired me to just entertain one of their Friday night. They do these little Friday night, the third Friday of every month.
They're getting big.
Oh yeah. Well, they had him on. He was the speaker, and he talked about it in his book and all that. Yeah, so he came out and told the whole story. And like,
are you a believer?
I did the. I don't know, man.
Do you believe in aliens? Let's get it.
Let's get.
Let's just go straight for that.
Man,
be honest with us.
I'm gonna be 100% honest. I believe there's just things out there. I don't know exactly what I believe. Okay. I don't know about proof.
I respect that.
Do you believe the news?
I believe
is crazy.
Oh, the news is ridiculous.
I was trying to watch it today and I couldn't do it.
And I'll tell you, we talked about how I'll turn my phone off on Do Not Disturb. And sometimes I'll leave it in. Sunday, I'm trying to leave as a family day for my wife and son. So I will put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I may only check it once or twice through the day. And sometimes that's just an awful habit. I happen to walk through the bedroom to use the restroom, and I'll come back and just, let me just see. But then I'm like, no, don't start doing that. I can return everything on Monday. And but another thing we started doing, and I feel like for my mental health, it's been great. I mean, not that I have any major issues, but I feel like when you're just in that phone all the time, man, and watching the news all the time every day.
It definitely plays.
It screws with you, man. And we've gotten to where there's a lot of mornings where we don't even turn the news on before starting our day. We'll go sit on the patio and enjoy a cup of coffee. We listen to the birds chirp. And
do you like dark coffee or do you like that mocha latte?
No, nothing like that. So we quit buying sugar probably 15 years ago.
Y'all are off the sugar?
Like we don't buy bagged sugar.
Your eyes are that blue?
I don't know. So probably 15 years ago we quit buying bagged sugar. We quit drinking milk.
Almond milk?
We drink almond milk.
Okay.
And we're even on just like unsweetened almond milk now.
Now you're getting too far.
No,
you still eat meat, right?
But I don't even use that in my coffee though. And then we drop down to we drink 1 cup a day each. My wife and I just have 1 cup. And
do you use it in the mornings or do you save it for after lunch?
No, man. We drink 1 cup in the mornings. That's it. I don't have any caffeine the rest of the day.
That was 10 minutes,
and then we dropped to a half calf about a year ago.
Come on.
And now we've even gone a step further where we really got into the chicory coffee.
So what's the point?
And well, it's only so the chicory's even less than like a half calf. So it's like
I do community.
It's fun to say.
It's community chicory. It's dark. It's very dark.
No, I do.
But when we quit doing sugar, we buy local honey from local people here.
That's tight.
Oh, I do.
So we always buy the quart of honey. And
can you taste honey or is it?
Yeah,
or is it honey?
I mean, I can taste the honey. I think because
overboard with the honey.
No, I use a legit teaspoon of it, and I drink my cup of coffee.
You use the little wooden thing like from Cheerios to administer your honey.
The unsinkable taste of Cheerios. Not a lot of sugar, but it's way down low.
I've never heard this song.
Cheerios. Yeah.
So you're big time.
So this was a jingle for Cheerios in the 70s?
That reminded me of my childhood.
I don't remember that
commercial?
Cheerios. It was just a bee for me. A little bee that went around looking
Right.
like a bee. I don't remember what
It's
else
got
it
like
did.
the little
Yeah.
the little wooden.
What is that
spool.
called?
I don't
The
know what you
wooden
call it. It's a
thing.
honey dipper.
Honeycomb? I don't know.
I just bought one of them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So Clay at Fly Llama,
Yeah?
he's got the best honey.
Okay.
$12 for a big bottle.
Oh, of honey?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I'm
Maybe
paying
we
like
should get some.
$17.
I don't know.
There's a guy at
I
the
need a sugar
there's a guy at the
substitute.
farmer's market, and man, if you can make yourself switch to honey, it's,
I like
it's so
honey.
much better for you. It's a natural. It's from the earth, you know. I mean,
So is
I don't
sugar,
know.
right?
It's weird. Well, it's
Sugar
processed,
cane.
man. It's
Yeah. Anything processed is bad. And I know I drink sweet tea, and I've tried to cut that out, but I made it.
we've just
and
cut
I see
out.
what I put in it.
Yeah,
That's one of the
oh,
reasons
yeah.
I hadn't drank coffee for so long, but I've just recently started drinking coffee.
But tea's caffeine as well. So
Yeah.
we've just tried to cut back on caffeine, sugar.
How about bread?
Bread. We like bread.
How about white
We
bunny
don't-
bread?
No,
Wheat.
we do like whole wheat.
So I
Well,
like
actually, we do like the freaking. I don't know. My wife buys like the 10 grain. Like you can
Good
see
shit
all the
with
seeds,
and stuff. in it.
seeds and stuff on it.
Fancy bread. I'll be eating that fancy.
We make our
But
own
we've
bread.
gotten to the point where like we hardly even eat butter. Like we do like
All right, now that's enough.
hummus toast,
hummus toast.
like hummus or like avocado. We love avocados. Now we've recently gotten into this as we've gotten older. Like
So
in the
your
last
wife,
year or
she's
so.
big into like
Yeah, but how you do a fried egg?
Etsy's and stuff like.
I mean,
I
eat
gotta cut some
eggs.
butter in there. And I gotta sit. Get
Oh no. We
no,
just-
I mean I butter my
we
bread.
do olive oil. We cook our eggs in olive oil, and
I don't
then
even
we
use that. What's it, Bonnie? Is it Bonnie butter? It's not even like real butter. That's my
oh
favorite.
Bonnet.
Bonnet. Yeah.
bonnet.
Bonnet.
Yeah.
Bonnet's my favorite
yeah,
butter.
like blue bonnet or
So
whatever it
I
is.
do like I'll go to my coffee. I do community.
No, we do butter, and because occasionally, like on the weekends, I like
What
to.
about the spread? The butter spread. That's still butter. Crocker.
Yeah, that's-
what is it?
That's what we have.
What is it
it's,
called? Crocker.
It's
Cla-
it's tan. It's
Yeah,
in the
what
little
is it
tan
called?
container.
Yeah, thing. I don't shop anymore. So.
I don't know.
I got a fiance that does all
That's
the
what we
shopping.
have though when we do eat butter.
Ain't
Or it's
nothing
not
like,
real butter.
So Emily's been making her own bread. There's nothing like
What?
I have habaneros,
Country crock.
jalapenos. We have cucumbers. My favorite thing is cucumber salad.
Y'all got a bread maker?
Oh, she just makes it. Like
She does
about scratch. Like she has her little containers.
That's
She
awesome.
doesn't have one of them like press a button. No, it's in the oven.
I want some bread
It's so good.
She made me
with some
I
pizza
forgot
sauce
earlier.
and some pepperonis.
Oh no. So I like doing the bread. It's got like a very, I don't know. It's like when you go to Outback and you get the rolls.
The brown
Oh,
bread.
yeah.
It's got
the brown bread.
It's got that
That's my
kind of
favorite
it's
bread.
got that kind
Yeah.
of texture. And then what I do is egg sandwich. And then I do.
Now, see, I mean, and I'm
Honey
not saying
butter?
we're all like, crazy healthy, but we've gradually through the years made changes.
We learn what works for you
Healthier
and what
changes.
doesn't. 'Cause
Healthier
some things-
changes.
I noticed as the older I've gotten, like I can sense a reaction from certain foods that I
Yeah.
eat. And some of them are pure miserable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't do that anymore.
Like who likes squash noodles?
We've done that before, though.
So
We've
bad.
Eggplant noodles.
Just do regular.
I haven't done the
noodles.
eggplant. We've done squash noodles, but
I'm a jasmine rice guy. I'm a big rice guy, so I do
Oh,
rice
yeah.
and seaweed. And
rice
a
is great
protein.
though. Like we eat brown rice, we eat like wild rice. For carbs though, we try to stick to potatoes.
Do y'all cook
and
every
rice.
night, or do y'all go out to eat a good meal?
Man, we eat out. You know.
I mean,
yeah,
you're always being out on the road. I feel like
I'm out. I get usually a free meal every night that I
There
play.
you
So
What is
I'll
your
get-
meal?
I'll
What
get
is
a-
your last meal of the night? Or your free meal? Like at the
what
bars.
time do
Yeah,
I
like
eat? Or
Glory Bound pizza.
so I'll get pizza. I'll eat a couple slices on my break, and then I bring it home, and then I've got leftover pizza. So,
what venue do you look forward to
food.
doing the most?
Man,
because you know you're gonna get that.
I
meal.
do a Thursday night a month at Keg and Barrel.
They
And
got
it's
fire
their
food.
steak night. So the guys out there grilling all the
You
ribeye
get a steak
steaks.
for free.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
Ribeye steak dinner, a baked potato, and a
12
salad.
ounces?
Yeah, like it's a nice ribeye.
Fire.
House salad.
House salad, ranch dressing.
Respect.
That's me, bro. That's me. What's up? I'm hungry.
We're just rolling. I'm getting
hungry.
hungry too.
All right,
Play us
So-
another song. Can you
no.
play us one more song?
Sure. So
Whatever you want.
Or you want to go to the violin?
I'll
bring a
play.
violin?
Yeah, I brought it.
Fuck yeah,
Yeah,
let's do that.
let's do that.
Do you have any original violin songs?
No, not really, man.
Is it
Like
harder?
an instrumental.
Is it hard to play the violin and sing?
Yes.
I would imagine.
Can you do the violin for the song that goes ay 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 oh ay ay ay?
We know the name of it now. It's
Enigma. Return to
Return of
Innocence.
Innocence.
No, I don't know what that is.
He can learn it though. We'll get him to play it for the wedding.
I'm gonna send it to you.
Um,
I think you're. I mean, you're a great musician, artist. I say punt that album. You can call it Graham's demo. Send it out the world.
I say you call it whatever. Come to see your brain first, but just do it. Call it later and do it first.
Call it later.
hey, I'll just name the album later.
There you go.
You know, you look at now at all these TikTok and all these short stuff. You put together Midnight Ride, and that's how. I mean, honestly, there's so many of them kids discovering old music like Tracy Chapman and Pearl Jam. I mean, there's a whole generation that's coming up, and they're going back to like Pearl Jam. They're Foo Fighters, and there's kids that don't even know what Foo Fighters are.
Right.
All right. So how many
So-
fiddles do you have?
More than my wife would like me to have, probably,
Five.
but
Do they have like fetish names?
no, no,
5 plus?
no. So, I've got a few, man. I don't even really know at this point because it's this weird thing. I hate to say it, but it's kind of a dying thing. I mean, the
see
young
'em.
kids,
I wanna buy one.
like when I was growing up, they actually still had a few schools that had like orchestra programs, but string programs are kind of a thing of the past. You still have band. Everybody wants to play trumpet and saxophone and drums and
The sexy
horns or what. Yeah, right.
Drumline.
Yeah, you're right. Right. So, but man, violins and violin teachers, I mean, it's,
How often? Do
I
you
hate
have
to say it, but it's
replace-
kind of scary because I feel like,
How often you got to replace the strings on that? Never.
are you supposed to?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
You got him. You got him.
Got him.
You got him.
Are you supposed to change the
I
strings?
don't
on
know.
them? No.
Is it
That
like,
thing's
So-
old.
is it like a
I'm
cast
gonna be
iron
honest,
skillet? Like the more you,
I don't change
them
them until I break
So you
one,
break
man.
them?
But I
Okay,
don't break them.
So I've never played
like
one before.
I've left them on here for probably.
Don't let Cash borrow anything.
Oh, he's played my guitar
Broke
on a
string.
get two.
We got a
two
broken
strings
string
on
right
one.
here on Matt's guitar.
Yeah.
I love Cash. He's just young, man. He just freaking, he's
Jamming,
passionate.
man.
He plays hard, but you can attack and not have to hit it
Just
as
needs a
hard.
softer
like
pick.
there's something to say about you can be aggressive and not break strings. But
You got to learn.
I'll say this: I broke more strings when I was younger. I play harmonica too, so I blew out reeds and harmonicas quicker when I was younger. I was drooling all into it, and it would ruin the reeds and stuff. But now I've got harmonicas that I can keep for several years before I blow a reed on them.
So what's
It's
the,
technique. It's all
what's
about
the
your
story
technique.
on this guy right here?
This
He
one,
looks like he's or she's seen some days.
That's Portia.
this is a right. This is a Stradivarius copy, so it's not a real one, but it's from the late 1800s, so it's over 130 years old. It's a German violin. The wood is really old. I found this in a shop in Lafayette, Louisiana. I've got a handful of other ones. I've got a Czechoslovakian violin. I've got a few other German violins. They're all, this is probably one of the oldest ones I have. I've got a couple from the late 1800s, I guess. And then I've got a bunch from the 1920s, but they're well built, but they're not the cost of like some of these ones from the 16 and 1700s or some of these French violins.
People
that are
actually
like,
use them though, like, or that's for their decorations at their house.
I think there's both. I
Okay.
think there's collectors that are like, we're not going to play this thing, but I'm going to tell y'all this. I don't buy anything to not freaking tear it up
I'm
and
the
play
same
it.
way.
Because some people are like, I mean, and this is not like some crazy cost. I think I paid $2,600 for this. I paid more for that acoustic guitar than I did for this violin. But what I will do is I'll go into a place, and if they have 100 violins, I'll spend 3 or 4 hours in there, and I'll A/B every
You
violin
get
in
which
there.
one you want.
And I'll take the first one off, and I play it, and I really feel like an instrument. And I think violinists, guitarists, any type of musician out there will tell you, especially stringed instrument musicians will tell you, you have to connect to an instrument. I feel like your technique,
like your kyber crystal,
your
lightsaber,
right. So the way your technique is on an instrument may determine the tone of that instrument to a certain extent. I mean, you could take 5 fiddle players or violinists, and we could all take turns playing on this, and I guarantee you it would sound different for each person. Even if we played the same song.
just based on your
The way your
you play,
fingers
your
or the
style.
way you vibrato on there or the way you do stuff. So I have to connect with an instrument. Like, I feel like the tone has to be right for me, and the tone that's right for me might not be right for somebody else. Somebody else may hate this violin, but
What about the bow? Is that something that you can play universal with all violins, or do you have a bow per violin? Or?
this is going to sound crazy, man, but for the first, up until recent years, I bought these $35 bows. Cheap as hell.
It's
cheap as
horsehair,
hell.
right? Or at least
Yeah, it's horsehair. So I don't
real
like
horsehair.
nylon. Some of them are made with nylon, but it's horrible. I hate it. So it's real horsehair.
Did you kill a horse for that?
No, they just
You don't
they
have to
give him a little
kill the
haircut,
horse to
man.
get the hair.
They just give him a little haircut.
Get a little more dramatic, Matt. Give the listeners what they want.
We could make. Hey, we should make a bow out of some beard hair of yours.
Hey.
See what it sounds like.
Probably.
You're almost there.
Probably. I mean, I'm down.
But no, it's horsehair, and I used cheap bows for years. And all these guys were like, man, like when I talk to some of these old cats that play violin, they would be like, man, you need to get a nice bow. It makes a difference, makes a big difference. Or, you know, more expensive strings. Like, I don't even buy the most expensive strings. But the cheap strings and cheap bows work for me. I've bought a couple, like, I bought a $500 bow, and I've got like a couple $350 bows. They are nice. They do make it a difference to an extent. But then, you know, occasionally you got to get them rehaired and stuff. But with all this humidity and stuff down here in the South and the outside gigs that I do, I'm like, sometimes those expensive bows, man, they work
If you
just
drop
as
it on
good.
the ground, you might get a little more like
Well,
no.
just, I don't know, man. I find that it's
So what is
still
that
more
one?
about your technique.
Is that one?
Now, this one's, I paid about $50-$60 for this bow.
Oh, so only $20 difference, and you've caused all this mistakes.
But I've got,
you got me built up right now.
no, so, but now this, you know, I paid about $2,600 for this violin. I've had it for
So I can give you a real quick one that
a few years.
So photography. If
Yeah.
you ever get in a camera, the camera's a good portion of it, but the lens is key. Same
Right.
concept. So,
So the violin is great. People will tell you that you get a really nice violin, you get a really nice bow, and you buy expensive strings, it's going to be amazing. I bought some of the expensive strings that are like $80 for a set. I mean, we're talking 4 strings. You're talking $20 a string, and I'll freaking break one. And I
Or
buy
I
the
could go
student.
buy
I
the-
buy the student violin strings that are $15 a set, and it'll stay on there for a year.
I could go buy all the most expensive stuff in the world, but it ain't gonna make me
Yeah.
be able to play it.
Right. But you know,
That's
and
where the art comes in.
so, man, I connected with this instrument. I pull when I go into a violin shop, which they're kind of rare to find, but they have them throughout the country. And when I was touring with like Mulligan Brothers and stuff, we would stop at cool music stores and places where you can go in and
sign autographs.
just no, man. But we would look at all the old rare instruments and stuff, and we would be like, "Hey, I'm gonna try this one," and I would pull one down. And once you play a little bit, and they realize you're not just some knucklehead that's gonna come in there and screw up their stuff, or playing all these expensive violins, they realize you can play. Then they're like, "Cool, yeah, you can
Play around. You have a pass.
have fun. You have a pass." So I'd pull one off, and I play a little bit, and then I pull another one. I set it on the table, and I'll pull another one down, and I'll play it. And sometimes I go back and forth between the two. I'm like, this one sounds better than that one. For me, for my fingers. It connects with me, connects with my fingers. And I'll do that, man. And I'll go through every violin in there until I'm like, and then sometimes it happens quickly, man. Sometimes I'll find that
Oh.
first, second, third violin.
I
I'm
would
like,
say you should be a blog writer about violins.
you think so?
If you're going to check every one of them, I
At
would
what
be a
point
reviewer.
does it become a fiddle versus a violin?
So
Yeah, what's the difference?
a violin has strings and a fiddle has strings. Y'all probably heard that joke before, but I also heard another joke. It says a violin is a fiddle is a violin with a southern accent.
Okay. I like the first.
So
one.
yeah, let's see here.
Open your mouth, Jordan.
Let me see.
I'm just gonna do this. It's gonna be loud. Watch.
So that's you tuning it right there.
That's tuning.
You
Yeah.
don't tune it from the other end where the actual.
You do. So these are the tuning pegs. They make big changes.
Okay.
You know, if you're like when you're stringing it up.
All right,
and
we don't
stuff.
need lessons. We just need
These
to
are
fuck.
fine tuners where you just kind of dial
He
it
wants
in.
to review it.
I do want to know. I do want to play. I'm buying one.
There you go. I'll show you some stuff.
All right.
So I started in 11th grade. I did have a violin scholarship to college at Southeastern Louisiana University in Hammond, Louisiana.
Back to Hammond.
And back to Hammond.
Cracker Barrel.
I did Cracker Barrel. So I did play in Hammond, and I studied under a Russian professor there. But I played all through middle school and high school, and so I played classical music first. But I was always had a
Ode to
passion
Joy.
for yeah.
That was one of the first songs I learned how to play on guitar.
I don't even know if I can remember it anymore.
It's in
Golly.
there. It's in there somewhere. There it
There's your Ode to Joy.
is. That's the only one I remember. I think.
Right?
So can you play Cisco thong song? Like,
They do have some dope.
I can follow anything by ear. So what I did was I learned how to read sheet music and play classical stuff, but my passion was I'd go practice, so my folks thought I was practicing my stuff for about 10 minutes, and then I would turn on the radio and I would just pick stuff out, songs by ear, even songs that didn't have violin in it. So I would listen to country music and I would listen to Cajun and Zydeco, but then I would listen to like the Beatles and the Eagles and the Rolling Stones, and I would try to play along with the songs by ear. So I learned how to play by ear as well as read music, and I feel like that's what helped develop my style of playing. I had proper technique, developed some bad habits by playing by ear, but I was able to do that. And now I can back up anybody. I do these songwriter shows. I back up all these songwriters at a place called the Frog Pond in Silver Hill, Alabama. They'll get me to come out and I back up some of the most amazing songwriters on the planet. And I play fiddle and mandolin and harmonica, and I'll back them up. And I've never even heard their songs before, so it's a live situation. Never heard their original song before, but I can follow.
Jump in
I know
on
where
tone.
I know what key it is, and I feel it. I understand the changes.
So
I
I've
know
known
where they're
guitar
going.
players that could do that with like a lead guitar and just kind of jump in and play a little riff.
So I do that, man, and I love this instrument, and it's definitely a part of me. So let me see. I'll do something really pretty. This is a song called "Ashokan Farewell." This was, Ken Burns, who did the did the miniseries called Civil War.
No,
Back in the 1990.
the North and
it
the
was like
South.
It was like a four
Remember that.
part documentary series.
on TNT?
It's like a miniseries, yeah. But this song was featured in that, and it's called the Ashokan Farewell. I don't know if I can play it sitting down. I guess I can. Here we go. But cut it a little short.
That's still
It's a little bit
badass.
long, but it's
That's sick.
you know, it starts off kind of single note stuff,
That's
and
sick.
And then
then,
progresses to where you're
with
rolling and
the
playing
double
multiples.
stops where you're playing two
All right,
strings
so
at
there's
once. and
names
stuff.
for this stuff.
Double stops,
stops.
where you're
Double
playing
stop, one shot.
two strings. That's right.
I liked it.
So, you know, but you have your. You know, you got your fiddle music. Then you have your.
Jug.
She's so beautiful.
Hey, Graham, man,
You know?
I appreciate you coming by.
Yeah, man.
And
Thank y'all for having
Tell
me.
everybody where they can find you.
So
if
yeah,
they
I've
wanna
got
find you.
So it's Graham Ray, but it's GRAM because I was named after Graham Parsons. So it's like the unit of weight, and Ray is spelled REA. But if you look at Graham Ray Music on Facebook, I have a Facebook page. I have a personal profile, but I really try to drive people to my @Graham Ray Music is my Facebook page where I post all my shows, where I'm when and where I'll be and stuff like that.
We'll
They're
drop the
dope.
link in the bottom of this
Okay.
episode. So if you're listening,
And then I have Instagram as well.
Okay.
So
yeah, if you can reach out to us if you want to have more questions about him. I mean,
yeah,
Yeah.
we can give his address out or whatever.
that's
Yeah,
right.
phone
Yeah,
number.
just show up at my
Bro, thank you
porch.
so much for coming.
Hey, Graham, thank you
Man,
so much.
thanks guys. I really had a good time. This was
That was
awesome.
fun.
Thank y'all, man.
Hey,
Appreciate it, brother.
we're definitely doing a part 2.
Yeah.
All right,
Bye,
guys.
And
y'all.
like
See y'all
and
later.
follow, subscribe to our stuff. Yeah, just like and subscribe our
We
show.
out here.
Tell your moms about it. Tell your dads about it.
That's right.
Love you guys.
Your dogs.